Are we already started? Oh, I'm right on time to watch Taiwan Live TV!
Hello everyone, welcome to Taiwan. This is MJ Klein here, and we have a special show tonight. We're going to use Skype for call-ins. It's going to be a Q&A because people around the world are starting to panic. There's a lot of misinformation, fake news. And I live in Taiwan, the only country that seems to have implemented a sensible set of rules and procedures. Now what I'm going to do is, while I got you here, I'm going to do this right in front of you. I'm just going to write some text right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my Skype here, okay? So I'm going to do like this. Whoops. I'm going to say S-K-Y-P-E, Skype, and this should be a colon, right? And then it's Taiwan Live TV. There you go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this like, okay, that's good. Let me do this. And we'll move this. Oops. Oh, come on, man. I hate when it does that. Okay, now I'm going to move this. Why don't it let me move it? It's acting funny. I should have done this before, but I wanted to do it in front of you so you guys could see what, you know, what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm going to move this over here like this. And I think that, well, if I put it down here, then you can see it better. All right, so what you can do is you can call Taiwan Live TV on on Skype, and that will get you onto the show. Let me do this. I'm going to change the, yeah, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Good. Okay, good. Now, if you call Taiwan Live TV, let me do it over here. Now, I'll put it right up here. How about that? There you go. There you go. Okay, guys. All right, hi. All right. If you call me on Skype, I'll put you on speakerphone on my second device and we can talk. Now, a lot has happened since the last time I've had a chance to chat with you about the coronavirus. I'm down the street at the local Southeast Asian store, and they're going to close in a little while, but that's okay. Neighbor with a gun. The neighbor to the gun, J-boy, is the neighbor across the Taiwan Strait. They have 1,400 missiles pointed at my house and other houses. That's the neighbor across the street that I'm talking about. So we do have a little issue with our exposure here. So I'm going to do this. See if that helps any. So yeah, I don't know why this is doing this, but I guess, well, let me do this. I can take my hat off. Oh, I got hat hair. Okay, I take my hat off. There you go. I think that was messing up the exposure. So if you feel like calling us, give us a call at Taiwan Live TV and I will in fact put you on the air. I have a long history in the United States of being a talk show host, and it was a lot of fun in those days, real radio, and I enjoyed it a lot. Now, in Taiwan, you wear a mask, and, well, you got to deal with it, so here we go. Tonight I'm drinking some Thai rum, soda water, and I have some Ceylon Sri Lankan cinnamon. It's not cassia, so there's no dangerous chemicals in it, and you get all the health benefits of cinnamon. So, please, Taiwan Live TV is our Skype number. We are open for business. We actually have Skype Lite loaded, and Skype Lite is the version that they created for the Indian market, specifically to work on slower speed networks. I don't know. I thought India had some of the highest speed networks in the world. I don't know. I always think of India as being like super high tech. But that's what they said they made it for, is the Indian market. So whatever. And we're running Skype Lite. We're not going to take video calls. We're going to take audio calls only. So if you call on video, I'm only going to answer on audio, and I'll put you on speaker, and we can talk about it. Now, a couple of things have happened. Dave, how you doing? Nice to have you with us. A couple things have happened. Sorry about the table shake. Taiwan now has, I think this afternoon it became 43 cases. I want you to know that whatever you hear about the Taiwan government hiding things, there's a massive breakout. It's all fake. It's coming from over there on the other side of the strait. They're trying to destabilize the government and make the people panic, but they don't understand that rumors won't destabilize this government. It'll destabilize a communist, authority, but it won't destabilize a rich democratic society. There are more PhDs per capita in Taiwan than anywhere else in the world. This is the most highly educated place on earth right here. I mean, not here, but I mean Taiwan. So let me show you this. This graphic came out today. I don't know exactly how many people have been tested, but I do know this. I know they don't hold back from anybody that needs to be tested, and the tests are covered by the National Health Insurance. So, if you look at the red are cases that came from the outside. Okay, and if you look, you can see it has their ages on it. Doesn't tell their names, but it has dates and stuff. And then you see it turns into blue. You see the down arrows. The arrow shows the direction of the infection. So you see that, like, over on the left side of the graphic, there's a group of 5. It says 20, 21, this is 19, and 22 and 23. See, somebody from the outside in the red, it says on January 22nd, infected somebody, and then they infected other people. That's like a family group. This is the kind of transmission that we're having here, is familiar groups, usually within the family. Like, for example, that taxi driver in Taichung, he infected his wife and his family. That's understandable, it's normal. But you see the little green label on the bottom of that's kind of at an angle, that shows that it stopped there. And in the other cases of the blue, a little bit on the right-hand side, well, actually in the center of those, it shows that those have stopped too. And so over on the right, there's another group. It starts with 34 and it goes down. And so, okay. Well, you're welcome to tell that. You're welcome to tell that to Tsai Ing-wen, and I agree with you. However, knowing that number doesn't help me at all. So they've tested more than 42 people. So tested more than China. See, Taiwan at the very beginning, about a month before everybody else, they developed an inexpensive kit, and the kit is covered by the National Health Insurance Plan, so it doesn't cost anybody to get tested. So what Taiwan has done is they've created an actual mathematical tool that if you have this symptom, this underlying disease, and blah, 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 you add 10 points, and if the points equal 40, then go to a healthcare professional and get a test. It's free. So they're encouraging people to do that on their own based on that criteria. It's interesting because if we look at Italy, they're in trouble. But yet, a lawyer addressed Parliament wearing a mask. He'd been all over the place in many areas that have infections, and he wore a mask into the Parliament, and they laughed at him. They ridiculed him. That's a real big problem. And in the very beginning, Korea was ridiculing Taiwan too. But now look, my family and I came back from Thailand on the 4th of February. And within a few days, Taiwan already announced that they were going to close schools for extra 2 weeks. So my daughter never went back to school from her vacation. And it was only recently that Japan announced the closure of the schools for a considerably longer time. So we have in our collective memory SARS. And I was here during SARS, and I remember how bad it was. This is annoying me. This constant, I don't know what it is. This constant changing of the exposure is annoying me. It's not anybody's fault, guys. So, what's happened is I mean, Korea's not laughing anymore, and they have a shortage of masks. So one of the things that Taiwan did at the very beginning was they confiscated all the masks, but they did it in the proper way. They didn't just seize them by eminent domain. They bought them. So that keeps the companies in business. Then they gave the companies money and subsidized them and told them to ramp up production. So up until this time, we've only been able to buy 2 adult masks a week. And starting next week, we can buy 4. Because they brought 10 million new masks online. They made an export policy. You can't export them, but if you're leaving the country, you can personally take 250. That's a lot. So we have a, oh, what just happened? We have a call coming in. It says 1 missed call. All right, let me call back. I'm going to call back, and it says it's ringing. And this is Dave. So let's go on the speaker. I don't know why that call got missed.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Okay, so unavailable. Sorry about that. Okay, that was Dave calling. So give us a call at TaiwanLiveTV on Skype, and anybody can call. We're not taking video calls, obviously. We're only going to take audio calls. Let me do this. Move around and show the back side a little bit. Okay, so here we go. Hello. Hi, Dave. Let me turn the speaker on. Hi, Dave. Okay. You're on. Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. How's it going? Nice to have you with us.
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Just, you know, hanging out, drinking with my mask on.
So the numbers there are 42 people, you said?
Today, I'm pretty sure it turned to 43. And I know it sounds like it's lying because, you know, how in the world could you possibly have like 1 extra a day, you know, when these other populations are, you know, like they're crying out loud, they're adding 200 or 300 every couple of days or so. But it's because they were really strict at the very beginning, and they narrowed it down. Now, we can talk about this in a second, but a couple of people went rogue, and they went off of quarantine, and that obviously is what causes the problems. But anyway, I saw part of your scope about the toilet paper crisis, And I know,
Yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's really not. It's a serious thing because, I mean, the inconvenience of toilet paper alone is more of a reflection on what society's thinking than
Oh,
anything
exactly.
else. Yeah. Yeah. So
I think that's what well, that's what I was saying is the thing that people should be more worried about are practical things like this, is behavior associated with it.
yeah.
And even things like travel plans or something like that. Those are the things that are going to affect people more,
Yes.
rather than actually getting the disease, getting
Yes.
the virus, I should say.
Yes. Because if you go to the store and there's no food, it doesn't matter why there's no food. There isn't any food and things like that.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Another thing is that even Japan seems to be in the same pace. This is a good example of what we were talking about earlier, or what I mentioned earlier. There's 250 confirmed cases, or 275, which is extremely low for a population of 129 million.
Yes, it
But
is.
The only reason why it's so low is because, according to another periscoper, she said I think only 1,000 tests have been done in Japan.
Oh.
So that number is not really reflective of how many people are actually have the virus,
Yeah.
or are ill. So that's
Sure.
kind of frightening, you know?
No, you're right. And people were critical of the CDC in America for the same thing because they were saying that the CDC wasn't testing anyone. And I know you're not a big Alex Jones fan, but I did read that an Alex Jones report, and it turned out to be true because I looked it up. I just did some searching.
What did he say?
Only 3 U.S. states at that time were testing for the virus, and one of the
That's very low, yes.
it was, and one of the states that was not testing, he was saying that in his opinion should have, was Hawaii, because some of the known returnees from the Diamond Princess went through Honolulu Airport, and he said out of all the places, and you would want, and plus there's a lot of traffic, to Japan and Korea and China. So anyway. So in that particular case, I agreed with him.
Yeah, I know that's true, because I just saw on that Worldometer's website, which I think everybody's referring to.
Yeah.
They just are starting to post the new stats on how many tests were done in each country.
Yeah.
And that's a really important stat. And I think they only have about 10 countries so far. And for the United States, it's one test per million people has been done in the United States.
Wow.
So not many at all.
Well, did you see the Twitter thread where a woman had posted that people in the United States are probably very unlikely to get tested on their own? Did you see that Twitter thread that's been going around?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, she brought up a very good point. That because of the for-profit nature of the medical system in the States, it talks about some poor guy got symptoms and he did the right thing. He went to the hospital, he got a test, it was negative, and now he owes them thousands of dollars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so people are reading that newspaper.
I didn't see that.
Right, well, people are reading the newspaper going, I ain't doing that.
Right, they're not going to do it.
I wouldn't. I mean, when I lived in the States,
No.
It's common knowledge when you travel that you can tell that people, if their teeth are pretty messed up, they're probably from America. I mean, it's sad to say, but really, everything's expensive. I remember I didn't go to the doctor. Even the times when I had my chronic pain, in 5 years, I think I went to the doctor 2 times. I just couldn't take it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was bad. But here in Taiwan, like for example, I see a cardiologist because of my arrhythmia, but EKGs are free. Anytime I feel uncomfortable, I get an EKG. He says just go lay down, and it takes. It's amazing. And so.
Yeah.
The tests are free. If you feel like they reward you for good behavior. If you have the symptoms, and you can use their little tool, that they use to determine risk assessment, and if you say, okay, I got 40 points or more, I want to get tested, they'll test you. And you just pay your normal national health care fee. It's like $5. So,
okay.
yeah, but it's a good question. I don't know what to tell you about how many people are being tested. I know they're not holding back from it because they did learn their lesson. And I will say one thing about the Taiwanese government, and especially the Taiwan CDC. They do generally not make the same mistake twice. The mistake they made was early on, was with that taxi driver that I'd mentioned, the one that he passed away from the virus. He had,
oh, really? I didn't
yep,
hear about that.
he had diabetes, and he had one other high-risk ailment. I forget what it is. And some reports say he was 65, some say he was 60. He was in his 60s, and he had no travel history with China. But what they failed to recognize was that he was in Taichung, in an area that has a local airport with 150 flights a day to China, and he was the taxi driver for these Chinese tourists going in and out. And that's how he got it. So he had flu symptoms. Now, the bad part about it is this is flu season anyway. And a lot of times I have a cough just because I do. I've had a on and on cough for like 20 years. A lot of people have this. I live in the industrial park. It's dusty, and I wake up in the morning and I spend the first 30 minutes hacking and coughing and gargling and everything else to clear my sinuses and stuff. But I was in a dentist office the other day, and I just went like this, and people are staring at me, like staring me down. I'm like, hey, councilman, what are you looking at? So, so people can overreact to that, but it is cold and flu season, and not every single thing that you have is going to be the virus. People are going to have the regular flu gives you a fever, but you don't have the coronavirus antibodies for the test. And so this gentleman had the flu, but they didn't know it was the coronavirus, so they didn't test him until it was too late. So they're not making that mistake anymore. Anybody who shows those symptoms gets the test. Now, there's a couple other interesting things that Taiwan has done, which I thought were brilliant, and I never would have thought of it. They have compartmentalized the hospitals, because part of the problem is the health caregivers are getting the virus, and they're spreading it among the patients. Well, it's not their fault. They can't help it, and they're doing the best that they can. And this isn't in any way a criticism. It's just an unfortunate fact. So what they've done is they've compartmentalized the healthcare workers, so they only work in one ward, one section, and they stay there. They don't go.
So like, they can't even go out. They're living there too, I guess.
No. I just mean that they go home to quarantine, but I'm just saying that they don't bounce around the hospital from floor to floor and from ward to ward. They're assigned to a specific ward. It might have 16 patients, and that's it. They stay there.
Yeah.
The other thing that Taiwan did, I think it was just announced, was it today or yesterday, that they're asking people who work in offices not to go from floor to floor. Like, carrying papers or whatever they got to do, to just stay on their floor, and obviously wear masks wherever they go. Which is the other kind of controversy, because I took my mask off so I could drink. There's nobody else around here. But there's a lot of controversy as to, why do you wear a mask? Like, this mask is a surgical mask. It's not an N95, and it's not a 1 micron particulate mask. Yeah. But it's good enough for the surgeon to wear to keep his germs from going into you, when he cuts you open in the operating room, right? Yeah. And so if everybody wear them, if the sick people, whether they know they're sick or not, and the sick people aren't sick, if they both wear them, then it's very effective. And studies show that works really, really well.
I guess that is one reason to wear, because the CDC did say you don't need to wear a mask, right? Did you see that?
I did, but I'm going to say it. Korea, Japan, they're in trouble because they started wearing masks too late. Taiwan started it from the beginning. So I know what they're saying. They're saying like out in public. But I mean, I had people tell me one day in the SARS epidemic, why aren't you wearing a mask? The wind's blowing. You know, things like that. So,
Yeah.
the problem is you
Another
just
reason to wear a mask is that you're probably less likely to touch your face. It'll remind you not
That-
to touch your face.
that's the other thing. True, very true. I don't know if you saw my broadcast. I think it was about 10 days ago where I showed how to fold the mask. You know, so the inside is out.
I did. I saw a little bit of that.
You keep the dirty side in. We've had mask education on television, and it's really useful. And you know, people carry around the little plastic bag. What one of the school teachers did, because you know where children are susceptible in school is when they eat. Like right now, I took it down. You know, I took it down to have something to drink. Nobody's around me, but if somebody was sitting over there, I would put this puppy back on. Somebody made a cardboard shield, and it even went over the top of the kid's head. Just took a cardboard box, you know, and a box cutter and some duct tape, and just made one to see what it would do. And after that, the other teachers saw it. The guy said, "We're making, you know, so we're making all for all of our students." And so that's what they did. They
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's when the kids are vulnerable. So they're teaching the kids to wash their hands, you know, after everything they do, you know, with soap, and they've got the antibacterial soap in the school. But as a side note, these schools generally, and Taiwan generally, in hand washing sinks, they don't have hot water. They only have cold water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you have to have a powerful, you know, antibacterial soap. But then what they're teaching the kids to do is wait till teacher puts that shield down, and then they take their mask off. They fold it, so you know, inside out. Put it in the bag, and then they wash their hands again because they did touch the mask a little bit, and then they eat, and then they put the mask back on and only touch it from the, you know, the edges and from the ear bands, right? And then teacher comes and takes that shield out from underneath, you know, from in front of them. So, yeah. Now, Dave, you know, you're a professor of English. What at your school? What's the protocol? Say one student tests positive for the virus. Do they do anything? Is there a threshold, like 2 students or 3 students or something? What do they do?
Well, you know what? Right now, I think we're in, like, you hear this phrase a lot, we're in uncharted territory here.
Yeah.
Right now we're on holiday, and we don't start the school year until April. So there's nothing going on, you know, luckily.
Yeah.
But we do have the graduation, and they canceled the festivities after the graduation. They're still holding the graduation.
Oh.
But I believe that I wasn't working there when SARS was going on, but I believe that they said if they had found a student that was tested positive, then I think they would have shut down classes.
Okay. Well,
so that's what it is.
Okay. I'll tell you what they did with my daughter Phoenix's school. And by the way, they're having a PTA meeting this weekend, and no kids are allowed. And my wife is going to go. I'm not going to go. No children are allowed at the PTA meeting this weekend. That's one of the things they're going to discuss. But the protocol is this. If one kid tests positive for coronavirus, that kid's homeroom, because it's first grade, you know, the kid's homeroom goes home. And they stay home for a minimum of 2 weeks. If 2 children in the entire school test positive, then the entire school shuts down for a minimum of 2 weeks. And during that time, I mean, and they have to stay home, you know, it's a strict quarantine. After that time, they're going to test them. And if they test positive, then they're going to push it out for probably for another 2 weeks.
Wow.
They're going to do it until nobody tests positive anymore. And the government here recognizes, I mean, okay, let me just back up. Going back to that Twitter thread that I told you about Americans being less likely to you know, volunteer to be tested and so forth.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is no paid leave, and especially low-paying jobs, which are usually like food handlers. So people say, I'm just going to take some Dayquil or something, an antihistamine, I'm going to toughen out at work, but they're infected. Taiwan recognizes that this is a national emergency, and they already said, okay, your kids might have to go to school during summer, but we're not going to let them go to school if they have the virus. And Taiwan government has already earmarked something like 40 million NT dollars as this is like the first round as compensation for companies that have to give furlough to employees because they're sick. They don't want them to, they want the boss telling them, you better get in here because we need you and stuff, and because they're worried about losing money. The truth is, no matter what people think, the timeline to world poverty is 30 days. That's it. Most people, if they are sick and can't work for 30 days, they suffer an irrecoverable poverty. They can't. It kills them. And most companies are like that too. There isn't a huge buffer of cash that people have as individuals, generally speaking, or as companies. I don't know any company that could survive a complete 30-day shutdown, because not only are you not making the revenue during the shutdown, but you're not making the product that you could make the revenue back up, next month.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you could just press a button and let the factory run while you're shut down, that's a different story, but you can't.
Well, I've already seen a lot of reports of companies shutting down or companies just going bankrupt and closing down.
Yes.
For good because of the side effects of this virus. So, and they haven't even shut down. It's just because of the lack of business.
Yeah.
If they shut down, wow.
Yes. Fortunately for us, for our business, for Asian Castings, we haven't felt anything yet. And the good news is we're not directly tied to the China supply line. For example, our raw materials don't all come from China. Many of them come from like UAE, for example, like some of the metals and things that for shell molds and so forth, and casting sands and those materials, they come from Australia. So we're not, our particular business and our line of business isn't so, dependent upon the China supply line. And I'm going to say this, I think that's going to actually work in our financial favor as people start pulling stuff out of China. I mean, I'm hearing rumors here, because I'm in the manufacturing business, and I'm hearing the people, they're going, this is killing me, man. I can't be shut down for 6 weeks up to, some people are saying it's going to be 90 or 120 days, so they're pulling out. And that in itself is expensive enough, but I've always been in favor of at least having partially duplicate tooling and duplicate capability, so you can go to site B, if you have to, but not everybody can do that. Yeah. So, are we still on? Speaker on. Yeah. Okay. You still there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
For some reason, I thought I lost you.
Saying,
yeah.
This is just the beginning of it. This is just the beginning. If you consider only how few people have been tested, it's kind of frightening to think what the next few months is going to happen, or what's going to happen.
Yes, and people need to take it seriously immediately. The Italians need to stop laughing at people for wearing masks, and the Americans need to stop. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to get hate mail, but everybody knows that the CCP is the biggest lying government in the world. But I'm of the opinion that the U.S. government is the second lyingest government. I mean, when Alex Jones said that only 3 states were testing, and I looked it up and turned out that he was right. And the CDC, somebody wrote an article, and it wasn't related. It wasn't Alex Jones, but somebody else wrote an article about some of the CDC deception that was going on, where they sent out kits to 30 countries and every state, and then they announced that the kits were no good. And so they, in this business,
Oh, really?
yeah, in this business,
Yes,
right,
yes, that was in Hawaii.
yeah, in this business, man, you can't give somebody a test unless you know it's 100% reliable, because lives depend on the outcome, right? And so all the kits are bad. Okay, so I mean, if they say some of the kits are bad, then you can't trust. Then they're all bad. You can't trust any of them because there's no way to tell. So they said that they were going to replace them, but they haven't said when. They just said they were going to replace them, but they're not replacing them. And each test will cost every American citizen that wants a test. It'll cost them over $1,000. In my opinion, that is criminal.
That's insane.
Americans pay some of the highest tax rates in the world, and Americans get almost nothing back. They don't even get a free passport. You got to pay for that too. So to not have national health care and not have some kind of assistance, the kits should be free for anybody who needs them. But I mean, the problem is this topic is so intrinsically linked with politics. I hate politics. I hate nationalism. You know, that whole thing. I can't stand it, right?
Yeah.
And I believe in a global, single race of human beings. You know, we're not a race of whites or a race of blacks or a race of yellows or reds or whatever. We're just one race of people. But I can't stand the politics and the nationalism and the lying and stuff, and some of the callous attitudes that these governments have. That, I mean, I've actually read documents that refer to entire continents of human beings as useless eaters, and it's often been said, I know, it's often been said that all the world's financial problems could be solved if everybody over 55 died, because then there'd be no more pensions being paid. That money would fold back into the system. So, I mean, there are people out there that think this and believe this, and who knows? Maybe there's scientists that would actually develop viruses, you know, to kill all old people or something. I don't know. Who knows? But I can't stand the
Yeah, it's
political
I've heard
aspects.
that too. Yeah.
Well, I thank you very much for the call, Dave. It's been a pleasure having you on late night. I appreciate it so much. And listen, I wish you well in Japan. And if things get bad, come on over here, okay? I got a place.
All right.
I got a place for you to stay, and we got plenty of masks.
Okay. All right. Might take up that offer.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Take care. Thanks.
Have a good one. I'll keep watching. All right.
All right. Thanks very much.
Bye
Good
for
night
now.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So please give us a call at Taiwan Live TV right here on the top of the screen, and Skype. You can join us. That was Dave in Osaka, and Dave is Dave needs no introduction. Avid periscoper since way back, and fortunate enough to be a friend of mine. It's fortunate enough for me, and yeah. So you guys give us a call, and Dave is a professor of English, and he's in the school system, and so he was the right person to talk to about what was going to happen as far as the protocol. So that was a 24-minute and 22-second call, so not bad. So I'd like to hear from you. I know we don't have many comments right this second, but that's okay. That's just how it is sometimes with Periscope. And what I found too is that a lot of times people who are watching, they don't interrupt. They don't want to interrupt the ongoing discussion. So let's see. B-Days is online, so I appreciate that. Nice to see you. All right, so we're going to go back to the calls. So if you want to talk about the coronavirus issue and what's going on here in Taiwan, let me show that graphic again, because this graphic is pretty indicative of what's happening here in Taiwan. All the red spaces, all the red numbers or red dots, if you will, are cases that came from the outside, and you can see that the arrows go down. They infected the green ones, which that means that infection happened in Taiwan. So those people who are in red came to Taiwan. But you can see that everything pretty much has an outcome, and some of the cases have been closed. So yeah, that's a very, very good thing. Taiwan took many important precautions at the very beginning and made sure that we had enough masks and alcohol. You know, the other thing too is we have a very high concentrate, 75% medical alcohol here in Taiwan, and it really is great for disinfecting and killing germs. But I was telling somebody the other day, you know, some people were worried of running out, and just remember, you know, cheap whiskey and cheap rum that's 40% has alcohol in it, and you might say that, well, yeah, the alcohol content isn't all that high, it's not that strong, but you know what you can do? If you're sterilizing metallic things especially, you can light it on fire. Because you know, if you cook with brandy, or you cook with whiskey, or you know, rum that's 40%, it'll make a flame. I mean, bad in the pan, you know. So if you need to sterilize something, you can always use that and light it on fire, and that will sterilize it. I do not, however, recommend that you pour alcohol on your hand and light it on fire. But here we have the 75% alcohol. And the 75% alcohol works very, very well. Thank you, Fide. Yeah. And Fide, could you tell me, I mean, you could hear Dave's call good enough, right? I mean, I held it right up to the speaker, so I'm hoping you can hear it very well, because that's important. And at some point in the future, I'm going to be doing more studio shows, and I'm going to actually implement, you know, real phone calls. Yeah, that's on the timeline for the future. I do have a voice over IP system for the United States, and I do have a toll-free phone number for the U.S. But what I would have to do is use a software phone, a soft phone, which I have. We could easily do that. But yeah, so you could hear Dave's call, right? I hope. I mean, that's the whole point. So anybody who wants to call, please call on Skype, TaiwanLiveTV, just like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be uppercase. It's just, you know, it's just title case like that to make it easier for you to see it. So, Matthew, it's going good. How you doing? Nice to have you with us. We're discussing the coronavirus, a little bit of an update. You see, I got my mask hanging off here. It's how I eat, so I can always, you know, back on real quick with one little thing. But I got some rum here and some cinnamon. I'm celebrating a little bit. My wife and I have a private reason for celebration. It's good, and so yeah, I'm having a little rum out here. I'm outside. I'm actually at the Jar Jar store. You guys have seen this during the day, and so yeah, thanks. Well, you know, I've been kind of busy, and I've been busy. I've been good busy. Been in the studio, and I've been trying to keep healthy. I'm up to 13 supplements a day. I really, really, really want to do a couple of shows and talk about the supplements, but there's something else that I want to talk about too, because I've been doing researching. Okay. Oh, thank you, Fides. I appreciate that that signal report. By the way, Matthew, if you want to give us a call, just call us on Skype on TaiwanLiveTV, and you can join us live. And it'd be nice to have you with us, because I want to talk about you know, people's experience with the coronavirus. I want to hear, are you upset? Do you think it's going to be bad? Is it bad where you are? Because like Ken Rod told me today that there's a guy in San Antonio that has an infection, and he was just took off and went down to the local mall, things like that. So I'd like to hear some of the things. There's a lot of rumors and a lot of fake news, and China has been attacking Taiwan with fake news. There are all kinds of rumors. I'm going to tell you guys right now, don't believe them about Taiwan, about the Tsai government lying and out of control and everything else. It's just not. There's no out of control. I know. There's no I don't know what is that a Chinese word? Do you mean bai jiu? Is that what you mean? White liquor? Yes. Well, that's the big problem. That's the big problem, is because if you know the Chinese word, if you know how to write it in Chinese, what you're trying to ask me, it would be a lot easier. That's the problem. And see, let's talk about that for a second. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be mostly Europeans and Americans. I get this a lot, and you see it a lot in social media. Yeah, the normal flu infects, 100 million people around the world and kills, 200,000 or whatever. Yes, it does. But when I got the flu, I know I got it. And the last time I got the flu, I got a fever, I got aches, I got chills. I knew I had the flu. I went down the street. I paid my little, I'm taking a lot. I want to talk about that in some future shows, okay, and what they do specifically. But, he took a swab of my nose, and 10 minutes later he said, yes, you got the flu, and he gave me Tamiflu. And Tamiflu, man, bam, bam, bam. I mean, 5 days later, it was amazing. And 10 days later, I couldn't even tell I was ever sick. The last 3 days, I had to remind myself that I was sick, so I would take it easy to finish the recovery. You know what I mean? I was feeling that good. The problem with this coronavirus, which is a biological weapon that uses gain of function technology that was developed by the University of North Carolina and sold to the Communist Chinese. And I can back that statement up. This particular virus has a long incubation period with no symptoms. However, you are shedding and you are contagious, and that's the problem. Yeah, I know regular flu kills people. It does. But you know when you have it. And the recovery time is not that long. The problem with the coronavirus is by the time you have it, you've infected your family, and it's too late to administer some of the medication that might otherwise help. And there's no vaccine. See, in Taiwan, I have the national health care, right? Let me see if I can show you this without, I don't want to show my ID number and stuff. I'm going to do this. I'm going to cover all this. This is my national health care card, okay? You see this sticker? That sticker means that I got the flu shot in 2020. That's what that means. And because I'm over 60, believe it or not, I have trouble believing that. Because I'm over 60, I get it for free. I go to my regular doctor that I see for my cardiac arrhythmia medication, and he's a GP, and he just sets me up. He said, I got a flu shot for you, and come in on this, during this week, and I come in and I get the shot. And then next year, they'll scratch that sticker off and put another one on. And so wherever I go and I am ill, and I give them my insurance card, they see the sticker, they know I've had the shot. There ain't no shot for this. There's no shot for COVID-19. That's another problem. So please join us, Taiwan Live TV. Taiwan Live TV. Well, Oh, the problem with baijiu is that's kind of like saying red wine. How does red wine taste? Well, is it a Merlot? You know, is it a Cabernet? Is it a Zinfandel or whatever? I don't know. The biggest, by the way, that just means white liquor, white alcohol, literally, but white liquor for those of you who don't read Chinese. Usually very strong, usually an alcohol flavor, you know, like a rubbing alcohol kind of flavor, not a pleasant flavor. Oh, I kind of like this. They shut the lights off across the street. I kind of like this, like this red color thing going on. And please feel free to give us a call. TaiwanLiveTV is our Skype number. And we just had Dave in Osaka join us earlier. But the thing is the big one in Taiwan is called gaoliang. And gaoliang is made from sorghum. And I don't really like it. If I'm drinking with Taiwanese pals that drink it, I'll have a couple sips. I can take it. It comes in two main strengths. They call that in Chinese degrees. We would say percentage, but 38 degree and 58 degree. That's 58% alcohol. And the 58% alcohol, it's like I'd rather use it for a cleaner or disinfectant. I was just talking about 75% cleaning alcohol, you know, for sterilizing, you know, during this outbreak. And I mean, you could literally go to the store and buy 58% gaoliang and probably use that quite effectively. The guys that drink gaoliang, they always used to laugh at me. There's kind of a joke in Chinese where they say that white people like yellow liquor and yellow people like white liquor. And we say that in Chinese. And sure enough, I'm drinking rum. So I'm a white guy, I'm drinking rum. But that's just a joke. It's not real. It's a stereotype. It's not real. And so, because Taiwan is the 5th largest consumer of whiskey in the world. But these guys would drink gaoliang and they would cut it with water. And I would ask them, is it good? And they would go, yeah. And they would go like this. And they would go, and they kind of shudder when they drink it. Well, they were just drinking it because it was strong and it got them, you know, got them cocked fast. I've never been one, you know, to drink like that. I prefer flavor. And like I'm using cinnamon and stuff and other things that I'm infusing, you know, these rums that I drink, even with coffee, with flavor, because that's what I like. But when I was in China, I think, I'm going to say this was probably 2006, got a story. I was in the Black Dragon province right next to Russia. And every night, these guys in China, man, they are hardcore drinkers. Like what we say in Chinese, it's like, you know, what would you like to drink? Niao he sima. Well, they would say niao he sima jiu. In other words, instead of saying, what would you like to drink? They're asking, what kind of alcohol would you like to drink? And it automatically assumes alcohol. And we, you know, we working at the factory, we take a lunch break, and it's like 12:15, you know, 12 minutes after noon, and they're asking me what kind of liquor I want to drink. I'm like, I don't want to drink liquor. I want to, we say drink soup. I don't want to eat some soup. And like, they look at me like, and so I would drink a little bit of beer so I wouldn't be, you know, cocked out of my mind or something, going back and working around machinery, which these guys do. So every night they would bring like a whole bottle of scotch and see if I could drink it. Insane. So I'm drinking with this guy, and his name is Mr. Wong. He's an engineer. He's a good engineer too. And he said, let me introduce you to this local liquor that we have. And it's called Bei Da Huang, which mean, or what's the tone? Bei Da, I think it's Bei Da Huang. I'm not sure, but anyway, it's the last word means wilderness. It's like the Great North Wilderness or the North Great Wilderness in Chinese, but we would say the Great North Wilderness was the name of this liquor. And so I'm thinking to myself, let me guess, it's really, really strong and it tastes like crap, right? So what I'm saying. So it comes in. They have 40 degree, they got 60 degree, and they got 80 degree. And I'm thinking, they got 80% alcohol. It's like, man, oh man, you guys are like drinking lighter fluid or Sterno or something. I mean, I'd be afraid to. These guys are smoking too. I mean, you can start a fire. So all right, let's try the 60 because it's in the middle. He said, okay. And this is a long time ago. I mean, they had those little restaurant glasses about, this high, right? You know what I'm talking about. And I drank 2 of those really slow with food, and it overcame me. I don't get drunk. I don't get drunk on purpose. It would have to overtake me, but I'm very careful. The room was spinning from this great North Wilderness. And I looked at him and I said, now I understand. He said, what? I said, now I understand why they named this liquor the Great White Wilderness. He's like, why? I said, because all it takes is 2 glasses and you're there. And man, I tell you, I felt like it was in the Great White Wilderness because it was really something. And anyway, I guess nobody ever said that before because he laughed about that for a long time. I thought it was obvious, but yeah. So there's a lot of those. Now my friend Tony, you guys know Tony. I have scoped Tony's factory before. He's a Taiwan businessman. And there's a particular kind of white alcohol that Tony likes. I forget the name of it. And we got some of it for him. And he opened it up and he invited us to drink it, and I tasted it, and it was actually quite nice. It's not really white liquor, but it is a kind of alcohol that's white, made from rice, and it's called soju, and I like that. That's Japanese. And there's also xiaomijio, but that sometimes is yellow, but we don't actually call that white liquor because it's more of a wine. See, the distinction is between the fermented and the fermented and distilled. So the distilled stuff would be like the baijiu. And so, P-Days, I know I gave you a really, really long, convoluted answer. But the short answer is no, I don't like it. Not really. I drink it to be social. And every once in a while, like every 3 or 4 years, I'll get a small bottle just to see. There is a white liquor, though, that's not xiaomijio. See, Xiaomi is, that, by the way, is the name of the phone company. Xiaomi, that's what it is. It means millet. Mi is another word for rice, and Xiaomi is like a lesser rice, and that means millet. But they have one just called Mijio, and Mijio is nasty. It's distilled, but it's really cheap. You can get a pretty big bottle for about $1.50. So a lot of the alcoholic guys, the wino type guys, will get this Mijio, but my wife gets it to cook with. That's what she does. Nobody I know would ever drink it. Just like, you have cooking sherry, right? But if you were to take a sip of it and throw it back, you'd spit it out. It tastes terrible, but it's great for cooking because it has a strong flavor, and it flavors the dishes. But you'd never want to drink it. So that's what the Mijio is like, and they sell it here. I think it's 50 NT. It's like $1.50 for 600 milliliters or something. It's enough to get you in headache territory for a day. So we got our Skype line open right here. TaiwanLiveTV is our Skype. Please give us a call. We're taking calls and talking about the coronavirus. We are here in Taiwan. If you haven't noticed, Periscope is fickle. sometimes I'll be on and I'll get 4,000 views, and sometimes I'll be on and I'll get 40 views. It's bizarre. I don't know why that is. But this is what it looks like now. The local time here is 23:10. So it means it's 10 minutes after the hour of 11 p.m. And, yeah. Oh, I got a, oh. Dean's telling me that he missed the scope. So that's okay. Thanks, Dean. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just got a message from him. Now Skype also works, and I'm using the Skype Lite, which is pretty interesting. Skype also works for messaging, and my messaging is open. So if you just want to type a message and you don't want to be on the air, that's perfectly fine. You can send me a message on Skype, and you don't have to worry about being on the air, because I understand not everybody's into that. But I kind of miss having the old talk show that I used to have years ago on the Talk America Radio Network. And I see that Dean is viewing live. Dean, I want you to call me. And I want you to call me now. How does that sound? Is that okay? Yeah, I'd like to put you on because you had some interesting things to say. Dean is also in our late night group, and he's a valuable member of our little community that we have here. All right, so all you have to do is look at the top of the screen where it says Skype, and that is TaiwanLiveTV. And I think I'm going to make this a regular feature if it works okay. So, all right, here we go. So Dean is, wow, I got the power. Dean Cullis. Dean, how you doing? Welcome to Late Night with MJ Klein. How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, how's everything?
Good morning.
Just wake up, Dean?
Yes.
Ah, the idle rich. Yes. Yeah. I know. I said that to my friend Dana Hersey, who was the host of TV 38's Movie Loft one time. I said, the idle rich, and he went, ha ha ha, idle.
Can they hear me on there?
Oh, we can hear you, sure. How's it going?
Good.
So what's going on in your neck of the woods? Now, you're in Wisconsin. I know that. So
It's still in the 30 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yep, okay.
It's trying to get warm.
Trying to get warm, yeah. That's good. Now let me ask you: do people think, for example, that because it's cold, they don't have the risk of getting the virus? Do people think that?
I had to turn my XM radio off.
Okay, yeah, that would be good. In the old days, remember, you'd call the local radio station, they would say, turn your radio down. Remember that?
The old days.
Yeah. Now where you live, it's cold and there's snow. But do people think, for example, that because it's wintertime and viruses don't like cold and stuff, or being outside, that they can't get the virus because it's cold? Do people think stuff like that?
No.
Yeah, well, that's good. Because sometimes I hear people say in Taiwan that it's too hot for a virus, too hot for it to be contagious.
It's contagious because we're always indoors. A lot of people closed. When it warms up, we go outside and we stay away from people more.
Right. That's the thing. Because you're indoors, and that's what people have to remember. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Well, let me ask you, what's the weirdest thing that you may have heard, like a superstition or a wives' tale or something about the coronavirus that you have heard from your area?
I don't think we're really talking about it in my area.
It's just not on the radar yet.
No, it's on the news, but nobody's really paying attention to it.
Because nobody in your area is infected,
the
right?
best was the joke people made. That's the name of the virus. Sounds like the Mexican beer.
Right. I read that. I read it kind of. I read all kinds of astonishing headlines from the United States, but the police were actually investigating a Corona party. Like, why would the police investigate?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I did.
My nephew's in Los Angeles, and he said they're kind of freaking out there.
Yeah, well, that's one of the epicenters. But I mean, I imagine that if people in your area, if someone showed up, or was tested positive, I imagine it would change the whole. It tends to galvanize people quickly. But yeah, I imagine it would change the whole attitude. Yep.
Kind of consider it's kind of like the common cold.
Yep. Well, generally speaking, though, like what you said, and I lived in New Hampshire, and it was cold, snow up to the waist. And you're right. I mean, you either spend the time in your house, or you get in your car and you go somewhere. You don't mess around. I mean, you can go winter camping if you want to, or if you're set up. And I used to, and like Saturday morning, I go out in my backyard. But generally speaking, during the wintertime, you're inside, and you're gonna get stuff. People are always got some kind of congestion and sniffing and things like that. And see, I'm even coughing now. But does anybody, for example, if somebody starts coughing, is it like, the body snatchers where they're like, oh, you got the virus, anything like that? Or nobody's freaking out, right?
Not yet.
Oh, that's good. Now, let me ask you this. Now, I know you kind of, let's just say that you walk to the beat of a different drummer and leave it at that. But what would happen if you put a mask on and walked around? A surgical mask.
I'd be walking around with a frog because I wear glasses.
I wear glasses too, yeah. But yeah.
My mother was in a health center, and during the flu season a couple of years ago, I had to wear a mask to go in there. Really is awful to wear.
No, I hear you. Well, that's something that people don't really realize. That little metal ring, or that little metal strip that they have, it's supposed to go around your nose, right? It doesn't quite completely seal it, and you do get some steam coming up, and that's why I don't wear my mask in the car. And I have a 7-seat car, and sometimes I have strangers in my car. Well, not strangers, they're friends of mine, different outside of my family, friends of mine that are riding around, and I don't wear my mask in the car. So that is an enclosed space, and if somebody in the very back row were to sneeze, did you see the graphic? It's been circulating in Taiwan. It's got to be in the U.S. media, but there was a graphic that showed what happened when a person coughs, and it depicted a classroom, some students, and so the depiction is a computer simulations animation. And the back row in the corner is a kid coughs, and it showed supposedly the airstream and the particulate matter and the atomized mist and everything in purple, and showed how it basically enveloped the head of the student directly in front of that person and then wrapped around the front. Have you seen that?
I may have seen it once sometime, but can't really recall right now.
Now here I am, right?
But it sounds familiar.
Oh, here I am. I'm coughing because I'm drinking. It went down the wrong way, and I'm sticking to that story. But yeah,
that's my excuse too.
I know, because I was telling Dave I was in the dentist office and I coughed and everybody's head snapped looking towards me. I'm like, calm down, quiet, hold on. I was in Thailand, as you guys know. I went to Thailand on the 21st of January and I stayed until the 4th of February. Came back on the 4th of February, which means it's been almost 30 days since I've been back. And my family and I are well past, any incubation period. But, we're surrounded by Chinese and Taiwanese too. It's funny. But as we were, first of all, we stayed way far north in Chiang Rai, and we're up in a Golden Triangle, and everybody up there is Chinese, and everybody speaks Chinese. It was, on the one hand, it was very convenient for us, but on the other hand, we realized, holy cow, maybe some of these people are from Wuhan. We don't know. But they just call it the Wuhan pneumonia. They called it the Wuhan issue, the Wuhan problem. And as time went on during our trip, we noticed fear ramping up, because what happened was, all of a sudden one day our hotel put up a brand new sign and it said, your temperature will be checked at check-in. If you have a fever, you'll be turned away. And then we went to the Bangkok Aquarium, right? And there's a sign right there. Before you can go into the Bangkok Aquarium, you get temperature checked. So, but I imagine nobody's checking your temperature if you go to the mall where you live, right?
No.
Yep. I went to one of the universities today, to the campus. And at every entry point of the university is a little kind of a tent. The kind that you would have like at a food exhibition or something, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And they've got two people there, and one of them has a non-contact infrared thermometer. They point it at your forehead and press the trigger, and the other person has a bunch of sheets of stickers. And at every entrance to the university, they have different color stickers, but they give you a sticker when they check your temperature, and it's below 37.5 C. And so you can't go into the university without passing one of these stations, and if you have a temperature of 37.5 C, they don't let you in, and if you're uncooperative, they call the cops. And the other person also is there to help, subdue somebody in case they get out of hand, but that doesn't usually happen in Taiwan. But they also have medical alcohol too. And at the entrance of most of the buildings, they have those automatic dispensers. Well, they should. Matthew says that they said yesterday airports are going to set up temperature checking stations in multiple areas. Do you know how far back those temperature checking stations go in Asia, Matthew? I mean, they were checking temperatures in 2002 and 2003 in Taiwan. A thermal camera. It's amazing. And so, yeah. Dean, there's a little bit of a noise happening on Skype, so I hope you're not trying to talk and I'm not actually hearing you. Did I talk over you?
No, you're not talking over me.
Okay, I'm just hearing little snippets of noise, and okay, I just want to make sure. So
I'm watching on Periscope.
yeah, and you very kindly turn the audio down on Periscope too. Otherwise, it would be a big loop. I appreciate that. So just like the old days, Gallardo, how you doing, bro? Fist bump to you. Nice to see you. We're taking Skype calls. We have Dean with us, and everybody knows Dean. He's in the late night group. He's a longtime supporter from way back. I appreciate it so much. And so you're welcome to call in Taiwan Live TV on Skype. We went to the mall, right? Same deal at the mall. You go there, they take your temperature. Now, we understand that there's a long incubation period and that people can be asymptomatic just because you take their temperature, and it's okay Doesn't mean you don't have the virus. But there are no cases where people actually had the virus and were confirmed to have the virus and did not have a temperature. So, I mean, eventually. So, yeah. Apparently people don't, it's my understanding, maybe I'm wrong, it's apparently people don't test positive until a certain point. So, anyway. So what would you think, Dean? And I know Americans are very protective of their freedom, and rightly so. It was hard earned. But what would you think if you were told that you weren't allowed to enter the mall unless they took your temperature with the thermometer and put a sticker on your jacket or on your shirt? Would you be okay with that?
I wouldn't go in.
Wouldn't go in. And you wouldn't go in because of the temperature check, or you wouldn't go in because at that point it would be too dangerous?
Probably both.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I wasn't...
I wouldn't bother.
You would fight it? I'm sorry, what?
I wouldn't bother. I'd just leave the mall.
I see, okay.
I'd go somewhere else.
Yeah, Dean, you're watching on Periscope, right? So you can see all the comments, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm okay with it too, Matthew, because it's I don't view it as really as an Galara, I'll get your question in a second. I don't really view it as a infringement on my rights, because I got to tell you something. If I did have a temperature, I would want to know it. And if I had a temperature, I would be inclined not to go in the mall and try to infect other people. And I'd put the mask on if I didn't have one, and I'd go to my healthcare professional, which is right down the street from me. Gallardo, there were runs on that, so exactly, yeah. See, Matthew, you just, yeah, okay, you just put the words in my mouth. There was a run on toilet paper, and the government quickly squashed it. They said, no, there's no shortage of toilet paper. Why is this happening? But then everybody realized they were freaking out about not having masks, and people thought they could make makeshift masks out of toilet paper. Well, I mean, now we've all seen like, we've seen some incredible images recently from Wuhan, the things that people will do, to try to protect themselves, right? I mean, you've seen some of these, right? I mean, they're absolutely horrific. I'll show you one of my favorites, and it's right here. One of my favorites is this one. I mean, seriously. Matthew, I think it's time to start too. And when I went to see Dr. Sears in 2018, I wore a mask all the way through the airport. And a couple people did look at me, but none of the Asians did. They're just like, oh, you're from Asia. I mean, look at these people. I feel bad for these poor people. I feel bad for them, And they're doing everything that they can do to prevent themselves from getting this virus. Yeah, yeah. But I know we're laughing and it's comical, and I saw one the other day. I don't have a copy of it, but I saw where a guy wore a sanitary napkin on his face.
I saw that.
Yeah. Here's another one. I mean, they got their dog wrapped up. Okay. Now, there's no evidence that pets can, you can get the virus from your pet, but there it is. So. I know. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And so the people are desperate. But anyway. What happened, Gallardo, was right away the Taiwan government took control of all the masks in Taiwan by buying them. They compensated the companies, so they didn't harm the companies at all. They bought all the masks. They implemented export restrictions immediately. And then they gave those mask manufacturers money to buy more machines, to add more lines, to make more masks, and mandated that they do so. And so 10 million more masks have now become available, and then the government implemented mask rationing based on the last digit of your ID number. So anybody who has a Taiwan ID or a health insurance card, and it's the same number, can get a mask. Depend on whichever, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is odd numbers, and they can go to the pharmacies and buy a mask on the day that corresponds, to their number, and they can buy 2 per week for adults and 4 per week for a child. But it turns out that next week the adults can buy 4 masks per week now because they ramped it up. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. In a couple more weeks, Taiwan's going to have a surplus of masks, and then we're going to help Korea and Japan. And even though they want to kill us, we're going to help China too. Because Taiwanese don't hold grudges like that. So, Dean, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Thanks for calling in.
Anytime.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining. Thanks for being on late night. Take care and have a good afternoon there in Wisconsin. Bye-bye now.
Bye now.
Well, N95 is part of that, yes. But right now, all the N95s are gone. The only thing that's left is the surgical masks, and those are the ones that are being promoted now to be worn, because when everybody wears them, then it's effective. If a person who is infected wears it, and a person who's not infected wears it, it's extremely effective. So you just have everybody wear them. So, okay, we're taking calls. Taiwan Live TV. Our Skype number here is TaiwanLiveTV, and we'd love to hear from you. I'd like to hear, especially if you have any stories about what's going on in your area. If you have any anecdotes, interesting stories. I'd like to know, for example, if, like I was saying, any controls or any regulations have been implemented in your area. Because it's interesting. Dean said that he would be inclined not to go into the mall. So if you did that in Taiwan, you wouldn't go to any of them because they're all like that. So, need to type again? Yeah, you do. One case, we're up to 43. I showed this graphic earlier. I'm going to show it again. The red cases came from the outside. Yeah, that's good, Matthew. The red cases came from the outside, and you can see the arrow shows that they go down, and they affect the green cases. The green cases are transmissions that have happened within Taiwan. And you'll notice they have little boxes around them because those are family groups. Those are all familiar groups. And so basically, it's contained. However, there have been a couple of people. There was a scofflaw who got a $1 million NT fine because he violated quarantine several times. There is a certain type of person here that, well, Taiwanese believe in personal freedom to the point where sometimes they might endanger somebody else. It just it's a personal thing. But a woman violated quarantine, and she only had 2 more days. Yep, it may help. I'll tell you about something else too in just a second. These people have been punished. The Taiwan government has fined them severely, and they released their name. And in cases of repeat violators, they release their image too. Now I need to type something. Now I heard this. I don't know if this is right, but it kind of makes sense. All the old cures seem to work. You know, the old days, right? But I'm going to type something. I want you to look this up. Arak. That is a Middle Eastern drink. It's made from anise, star anise. And that apparently is something that Middle Eastern countries are consuming, and it's been reported to be extremely effective against the virus, not only as a preventative, but if you've contracted the virus, it helps your body to battle it and win the battle. And so I read that the proportions, because it's an alcoholic drink and you don't want to just drink it and get drunk, but if you can get a hold of a bottle of arak, which is star anise, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a Greek liquor that's anise too. So maybe that'll work. But they recommend 1 cup of arak to 5 cups or 4 cups of water. So it's a total of 5 units, but it's 1 to 4. Now, don't be confused by the other drink called arak, which is often spelled with 2 R's, sometimes with 1 R. That's on the island of Bali, which I've been to and I've had. It's not the same thing. This is an anise drink, and you can look it up on Wikipedia. Yeah, that's the other one, uzu. If I'm not mistaken, that's the one that tastes like licorice. That should work too. Now that's what I heard. I don't know if it's actually true. So Matthew, if you'd like to give us a call, we'd love to hear from you. But anyone else who'd like to give us a call here on Late Night with MJ Klein, you're welcome to join us on Skype. TaiwanLiveTV is our ID. We also can receive messages too. You know, if you don't want to necessarily give us a call and be on the air, which I understand. Of course, you guys know we did a national talk show in the 90s. I love talk shows, man. It's great. For the most part, they are. For the most part, they are. But the Taiwanese are very good about masks. We haven't walked around. Today is what, Tuesday? Let me do this. If I get a chance in the next couple days, I'll get my gimbal and we'll do a daytime walk around in some of these places. Just because I would like to show you how many people actually do wear masks. And it's very encouraging because people really take it seriously. And yeah, I can do that. And Taiwanese are really cool too about live streaming. You know, maybe I could just go to the mall and I could show you guys, you know, them taking my temperature. It's pretty cool. It's an infrared gun. We used to use that in like casting. We would shoot the furnace with the gun, right? So they just point the gun at your forehead and then it's okay. Now the other thing that's going on too is if you visit the doctor, and I visited my dentist because I had some problems. Gosh, man, I broke 2 crowns. Oh, I hate this. And I had a tooth pulled, so. No, they don't. But you can't blame them. You know, that American people, America's such a big country that, I mean, something happens in California and Boston, we don't even know it. It's huge, you know. If you're, it takes you a week to drive from one coast to the other. So generally speaking, yeah, most Americans haven't been exposed to that kind of thing yet, and that's dangerous. That's really bad. I feel bad. I think a lot of people are going to get caught unawares, and you know, by the time they realize it's going to be too late. We talked about it earlier in the show. You know, Korea was laughing at Taiwan because all the the pictures of Taiwan look like this. Like, oh, you're wearing masks, and now they wish they did. No, just eating. Good question. Just eating. I was eating some stuff in Thailand, and one broke, and then I came back to Taiwan, the other broke. So, well, yeah. The problem is you can't put that genie back in the bottle. It's out. And from now on, it's going to be part of the regular, it's going to be part of the regular flu every year. Does that look scary or what? This is my little light. Is that too scary? Pull this out. I just want a little bit more light. Yeah, there you go. This is going to be a regular thing every year from now on. Can't put the genie back in the bag. But make no mistake, this is a bioweapon. This was engineered, guys. And this is just the beginning. People have no idea. We are living in critical times, hard to deal with. As a wise man once wrote in an ancient book. And we're going to be dealing with this stuff for a long time. It's going to contribute to the end of civilization, I'm convinced. Like that song, it's the end of the world as we know it. Maybe I should do a new version of that. Now somebody in Taiwan did a well, they're making a vaccine here, but it's going to take 6 to 9 months. And if they make it in the U.S., nobody can buy it. It's going to be $100. Yeah. You know the antiviral drug, right? Taiwan has already synthesized it. But the first thing that the company that owned the patent did was they said, well, we didn't authorize you to do it. See, this is what's going to happen. Somebody can come up with the cure. Yeah, Bootsy will. Bootsy goes with everything, so everything's awesome. Listen, the thing about Bootsy is it'll make you feel so good you won't care. Yeah, I know. Taiwan has replicated and demonstrated that we have the ability. Listen, for the second year in a row, Taiwan's healthcare system is voted #1 in the world. We have a doctor in Taipei that does limb transplants that work. There are people that lose their fingers for whatever reason or another, and he takes their toes. And the way he cuts the toe out, he takes the nerve bundle with it and grafts it into the hand. If you don't believe me, it's on YouTube. These people are typing with their toes instead of their fingers, and they go back to work and they become productive citizens and they earn a living. This place is off the charts when it comes to technology. And so the Taiwanese have already replicated that antiviral medication, but the company said we haven't authorized them to make it, it's under patent. Well, you know what I say? I don't do obscene gestures. But that's what I would do. Because you're talking about people's lives and you're worried about making money. For-profit healthcare is an obscenity. I'm not saying that doctors and healthcare professionals should not be paid. They should be paid the highest wages, reasonable, because of the service that they do to humankind. What I'm saying is big pharma needs to go. Do you guys know what the most successful drug in history is? I'll give you a hint. It's not Viagra, which you would think it would be. Does anybody know the most successful drug in history? Or let me just say the most successful class of drug in history. Do you know what it is? It's a drug that your doctor will make all kinds of tests to prove that you need it. Nope. Your doctor will make all kinds of tests. It's something new, relatively speaking. Your doctor will make all kinds of tests to prove, nope, that's old stuff, this is new. Will prove that, let me qualify that, it's unnecessary. To prove that you need it and to put you on it. And what it does is it kills you, okay? But you pay a tremendous amount of money for this drug to hit a target number that doesn't matter. And when you hit the target number, then it turns your, basically turns your cardiovascular system into mush. Yeah, it's statins for cholesterol. Cholesterol doesn't matter. It doesn't. If you want to raise up your HDL, that's cool, but cholesterol doesn't matter. Your brain's made out of cholesterol. The idea of cholesterol clogging arteries was invented by an accountant. See, it used to be called hardening of the arteries. That's calcification. That's different. That's because the calcium isn't being metabolized, usually because of a lack of magnesium. Hardening of the arteries is not the same thing. Now, finally, doctors, cutting-edge doctors are realizing that cholesterol doesn't matter. Cholesterol is what protects your heart. It buffers the heart. There are two things that every heart attack patient has in common, and this is according to Dr. Al Sears, MD. Number one, their last meal was made with some kind of vegetable oil, and number two, their cholesterol level was low. Anyway, I eat whatever I want as far as cholesterol, and I'm 64, and if I have a heart rate of 170 or 180 when I'm exercising, it feels good. It's not even close to my maximum. Don't let them fool you. Yep. Keep your CoQ10 level up. Well, Dr. Sears wrote about this with President Dwight Eisenhower, that when his doctors took him from the diet of bacon and eggs, bacon and eggs and other things. That's what killed him. They convinced him to go to this low cholesterol diet. What happens is your heart isn't able to handle the exercise and the stress, because and I don't know why, but Dr. Sears says that cholesterol protects the heart. I personally don't know the mechanism, but it's because that protection is gone. But all I try to do is just give people things to think about, because I'm not a doctor. And so I'd like for you to research that. But start by looking up Dr. Al Sears. dralsears.com, I think, is his website. And he has a supplements business, Primal Force, primalforce.net. And his supplements are amazing. Because, at my age, right, I started to have prostate problems. And I ordered a supplement of his 3 years ago. I took 3 months of the prostate supplement, and it went away. It only came back, the prostate problems only came back once, and I called my friend Westy in Bali and had him send me some prostate tea. I drank like 8 cups of prostate tea. He gave me 3 months worth of stuff in a big box, right? I drank like 8 cups of it or something, and it was gone. I haven't had any prostate problems since, and I got a huge bag of prostate tea left in case I need it. It doesn't really go bad. So these kinds of homeopathic remedies, they work. These healers, man, they know what they're talking about. And so one of the major healing therapies for your body is hyperbaric oxygen. And if you want to do something really interesting, you can look up the history of Dr. Atkins. The diet doctor, the guy that, the Atkins diet. He lost his medical license because he cured a woman of cancer by using hyperbaric oxygen, because everybody knows that hyperbaric oxygen creates an environment within the body that is detrimental. It's dangerous. It's lethal to cancer. And it killed the cancer, and he cured it. But because it wasn't an approved cancer treatment, he lost his medical license. And so hyperbaric oxygen treatment is so powerful that Dr. Sears I see. The Dr. Sears has a newsletter that I subscribe to, and all this stuff is on my PC at home, in my email app. But he related recently about how effective hyperbaric oxygen treatment is, because a family woke up one morning, husband and wife, to their worst fear. Somehow, their young 4-year-old daughter unlocked the gate to the swimming pool, and they found her floating in the morning. She was dead. Well, they took her to a hospital and forced hyperbaric oxygen into her system, and it revived her. And according to Dr. Sears, 6 months later, there is absolutely no evidence to support that she had ever drowned. It was amazing. Of course, obviously, they got to her before the spark of life, I guess you want to call it, had completely gone out of her body. You know what I'm talking about. But man, oh man, what a horrible thing. But hyperbaric oxygen is a very powerful treatment if done correctly. But the biggest problem is trying to convince your doctor to let you do it. Fortunately, if you search on the internet, there are companies that make hyperbaric oxygen chambers. For as little as $500, you can get a small inflatable system that holds one person, and you can just go get a tank of oxygen and hook it up. And sitting there, you got to take all your metal off, your fingers, jewelry and stuff, and you can sit in there at your leisure and get the benefit of pressurized oxygen. Anyway, there's so many hidden cures out there, but we've gone way, 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 way off. Now, I'm not a doctor, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make a disclaimer right now. But I hang around with doctors. A lot of my friends are doctors. A lot of my friends are lawyers too. So, all right, we're going to wrap the show up, but I would really like to continue to do Skype calls. I think it's a really nice way to generate conversation and to have some interaction. Just like the old days with a talk show. I really, really loved doing a talk show on radio. It was fantastic those days. I will be getting back into the studio and doing some studio shows, but I'm really, really digging this. I'm really, really digging this new Prism Live. Now, before I go, I want to do one thing. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to turn the playback volume of this all the way up. I would like to play a tune that I have been working on. It's actually completed. It's one of my soundtrack pieces, and I would like to just play it as an outro for the show. If I do the show from the studio, the answer to your question is yes, and I could put myself in one window and the Skype caller in the other window. Yeah, I could do that. But the reason I did it tonight was to save bandwidth, so. But before I go, let me do this, because I'm using this battery bank. This is the battery bank here, right? I'd like to thank my sponsor, ivideo.com.tw. They've been a sponsor of mine for over 2 years. I really appreciate it. The people there are absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for mobile internet, whether you live in the country or not, they got the cheapest prices. They price match. They frequently have special sales, and whatever you don't use on the there's no contract, but like when you buy the service, whatever you don't use, you get it back. If suddenly you have to leave, but if you're going overseas, it's fantastic. When we went to Thailand, we used their 10 country Asian box, and if you look back in previous live streams, you can see how great the quality is. Now, what I'd like to do is, if you guys don't mind, if you have your earbuds, please put them in. The reason is this version of Prism Live Studio now supports stereo. And that's on multimedia playback. I would like to play one of my soundtracks that I've done in my own studio. Now I'm going to turn this around. There isn't anything really epic that we can look at, you know. But what I'd like to do is use this for an outro. And if you don't mind, I'd like for you to please listen on your headphones and tell me if you hear this track in stereo. And I will leave you with this track. So thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time on Taiwan Live TV. We're going to play this right now. Take care. Thank you so much. Headphones only. Another great show wrapped up. Thank you.